Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here today in front of you guys. And today we will talk about Qualys Research Unit and how it helps you to better prioritization and how it's the heart of your risk operation center. Yesterday, Sumit talked about how attackers are faster than ever. And this exactly the point that we need the best, the most superior threat intelligence that is available to help you with your remediation, your prioritization, to only focus on the first or the couple most important vulnerabilities that matter the most to your environment. Before I dive deep into the playbook of an attacker and how an attacker think about investing in different vulnerabilities and how they perform, and also talking about future of risk management, I want to pull back the curtain and talk about the foundational forces, the heart of what we do at Qualys, which is the Qualys Threat Research Unit, and what we do at there. At Qualys Threat Research Unit, what we do is we are doing the vulnerability research, the cutting-edge vulnerability research on the product that matter the most. And also, we are responsible for building the detections, building the remediation, building the capabilities, the QIDs for any CVE that's available out there that matter. And you might ask, who are we? And I'm here to tell you that we are a group of 120 world-class, white-hat experts that they are proactively identifying and also mitigating vulnerabilities, building detections for your vulnerability and management and risk management programs. And we have a mission, and that mission is to stay ahead of adversaries. That is our mission, and that's what we do on a daily basis. And the work that we are doing is a couple of things. First, as I mentioned, we are invested in finding the high-impact vulnerabilities, vulnerability research, zero-day hunting, and also building the detections for any vulnerability that matters. And we are very good at it. But talking about being good and best is easy, but we also have numbers to prove it. And our research power the detection of over 125,000 vulnerabilities, and this is across 300,000 QIDs, Qualys IDs. And this is the scale that we operate at. But we all know that cybersecurity and the scale is nothing without the speed. And when a new vulnerability, a critical zero-day vulnerability or important vulnerability that is weaponized, the moment that it drops, the race begins for our team. What we do is starting research and finding the best way to identify those vulnerabilities. Our response time is 16 hours for any critical vulnerability or zero-day. And also, we all know that it's not about every single vulnerability. It's about the one that matters the most. And that brings us to the fact that we have the highest and most comprehensive coverage of CSOC vulnerability, which is 99.2%. And these are the vulnerabilities that weaponized in the wild. And our work didn't also go unnoticed. And the highest honor in our field is Pony Award. And the Pony Award is the Oscar for hackers and security excellence. And I'm proud to say that we have been nominated for 16 times and taken home 4 times this award. And I want to thank our friends at the security communities for nominating Qualys for the Qualys Research Unit for this award. And you can see some of the CVEs that it was found, and some of them are already added to CSARCIV. And in fact, during the Black Hat and DEF CON, something unprecedented happened. Something rare happened. And we won 2 awards for Epic Achievement and Best Remote Code Execution at Pony Award this year at Black Hat. And this is the vulnerability this is the award that's given for OpenSSH vulnerability that we disclosed, that it was hidden for 18 years, and it was a regression vulnerability. And more importantly, this is the team that is at your corner. This is the team that provides expertise for your security program. Very often, we are hearing from our customers that they are anxious about NVD, MITRE, and complications around that, regarding the funding, regarding other delays and things like that. And I put together this slide to share with you that the way that we structure our work at Qualys Threat Research Unit, it won't impact by any of that. And I want to explain to you how. And what we are seeing here is that around 2005, when NVD started, they put together this program called CNA, or CVE Numbering Authority, and they provide a bulk of CVE numbers to every single organization that do their vulnerability research and the vendors. And what they do is, the moment that they find a vulnerability, either through their internal audits, or if they found it by an external researcher, they can assign a CVE, put all the details, and then put it in their security advisory officially. And then after that, MITRE come to picture, NVD come to picture, and they will do some layer of enrichment to that. And what we have, the framework that we are operating at Qualys Threat Research Unit is, we already have the integration and automation already baked in with every single one of these CNAs, which is around 460 different CNAs. That's why none of you need to worry about any type of impact when it comes to NVD MITRE, because we have your back and we already built a structure for that. Obviously, we enrich our data by MITRE and other threat intelligence, as you can see on the screen. But the key data point that we require to build the detection come from the official channels, which we already have an integration with it. But the key importance here is the threat intelligence. As we mentioned, and also Sumedh already talked about, and show us a -1 day for time to exploit. That means that out of 112 vulnerabilities that Mandiant was looking at, it was so many instances that the attackers get to those and exploit those vulnerabilities before there is a patch, that it brought down the number to -1. This brings us to the fact that we need the highest level of intelligence and something that you can rely on to start working on the handful of vulnerabilities that matter to your environment. And I want to go and do a quick exercise before we dive into the rest of the presentation. Imagine you have a busy day, and you have to make a decision on which one of these vulnerabilities go and fix. Your team wants you to guide them. You have limited information. As you can see here, there's a CVSS, there's a screaming, they need our attention. And we have a medium, we have also a high. If we go and choose the 9.8 one, what's going to happen? We just chose a noise. That's why having a best threat intelligence baked into your security program is going to help you navigate your work much better, because you can see on the screen that the rest already impacted by seeing that they are added in CSARCIV. There are 39 threat actors are abusing that, bunch of ransomware gangs and things like that. And this brings us to the point that using a CVSS is going to provide you just a baseline. It's never going to provide you with the whole story that you need. That's why we are heavily invested at Qualys to provide you with the best threat intelligence available. And that's what we do on a daily basis. We map all these threats. We are getting them from different 25 plus threat intel feed, and we bake them inside your security program that you don't need to do any of that. This is the investment that we already done. And I'm talking about every single threat intel that is available. I'm talking about the real-time indicators. I'm talking about exploit maturity. Is it any discussion on a dark web? What was the first time? What was the recency? Is there any trending that is happening by a nation state and things like that? And it will flag the vulnerabilities and the threats that is dangerous today, not the things that happened in past, or not the things that already happened a while back. And at Qualys, we track our patch rate. And very often, we review our tools and mechanisms that we have. And we run an experiment to take a look how our threat intelligence help our customers. And we run an experiment to figure out from the time that a vulnerability landed in CSOCF, how long does it take for our customers to start patching and fixing them? Something super important we noticed. The chart starts from 20%. It means that the moment that the vulnerability already added to the CSOCF, there are 1 out of 5 customers, 20%, they're already fixing this vulnerability, which it means that they're already leveraging the TRU platform for prioritization, and they are way ahead of the rest. And there are other insights here that we can talk about some other time. And the other data point that was also very important, we take a look at all the vulnerabilities added to CSOCF from beginning of this year all the way to now. And we notice that 70% of the most dangerous and the most harmful vulnerabilities are already marked as critical with our prioritization. 45 days on average prior to even land in CSOCF. This is the level of intelligence you require. And we're already providing these to you by TRU, our QDS, and it is across our product. But we have to go and take a look at how a sophisticated attacker think about all of this. We need to provide you the playbook of these attackers. And I'm talking about the sophisticated threat actors. We are not talking about a lone hacker somewhere. We're talking about the one that we need to worry about it. There are a couple of things that they are thinking about. They are enterprise. It means they have an organization. They have mandates. And also, they're acting exactly like a professional investors. And all they care about is the return on investment that they are putting together. It means that they only think about what is important for them. It is important for them to reach out to the crown jewels. It's important to make sure their work is reliable. It means the exploit that they are building, it doesn't harm your machine, works every single time, and it is doing it silently, and it doesn't crash your machine so it can be detected. The other thing is the effort and the risk, right? They care about how much time they need to invest on this, as well as they prefer an exploit that it works every single time, easy to execute, and the hardest to be detected, right? And having this idea, we're going to go and talk about different things that we point out about the playbook of these attackers. And the first one is the attacker's timeline is the one, and the only one that we care about. We have these in our security community. Sometimes we have this obsession with the discovery date. That doesn't matter, right? What it matters is if that vulnerability is weaponized and how long is the exploitation tail. And to put it simply, if there is a vulnerability, let's say Log4j, and is in your production environment, and you still didn't fix it. This is the most important, and you shouldn't care about any vulnerability with 10.0 CVEs that it dropped yesterday, which doesn't have any weaponized exploit. And the other thing that is super important, we noticed that the attackers, they do not innovate. They just repeat what is working. And we have a lot of data points to show you. And the attackers find a weak product, a sophisticated technology, and they brutally exploit every single class of vulnerability that exists there. And we have the evidence to show that. Here is two examples from two products, 40OS by Fortinet and Big IP from F5. And as you can see here, year over year, they compromise and they exploit the same product. And this is not random at all. Once a threat actor put the investment for vulnerability research, they won't suddenly stop because they already built all the tools and knowledge base that they require, right? And this brings us to the fact that if there is a vulnerability that once came to a weaponized list, we're going to see them again and again. That's why you shouldn't think about the CVE by CVE approach. The attack surface is the product. We also have Big IP here. As you can see, year over year. Yesterday, the news broke that the nation-state attackers already went into F5 machines, they compromised them, they stole their IP, their source code, and also a big list of vulnerabilities that they were working to patch, right? This means that these particular product, Big IP, that we are seeing the evidence that they are being compromised over and over, these are a valuable target, right? And they are positioned, this product, very well because it's a gateway product, it's the edge product, it's a VPN, right? And this is super important. And this also brings us to the point regarding the TRU confirm capability that it was discussed by Shailesh yesterday, that the capability that we already have, that we will present later on, to do a test and make sure that you can find out if the vulnerability exists and we can prove it, that it exists for you, that we will discuss it later on. It's going to take us to the third point, that the attackers normally bypass every single product that we have, right? They are simply logging to those. And the most important product that you need to worry about is the edge devices, VPN, and also any firewalls that you have. And we notice that these are the primary initial access for majority of ransomwares. Here, we put together a chart of how one of these VPN devices are getting, their vulnerability getting fixed. There is a very interesting chart that we are showing here. At the beginning, you can see on the y-axis, around 55% to 60% of our customers, they fix the vulnerability the same day as the vulnerability being found. But the problem is the long tail. As you can see, even 90 days into the finding that vulnerability and being weaponized, what we see is between 6 to 15%, they are still not fixed, which is an open invitation for all these attackers. And we're going to go to ransomwares. And what we are seeing that the ransomware are the biggest driver of cyber incidents. And the other thing that we notice is 3 years in a row, the primary attack vector for these ransomware were unpatched vulnerability. We have a list of most damaging, harmful vulnerabilities that the ransomware groups are abusing very often, which you guys should be pretty familiar with it. And we mentioned that they are sophisticated attackers, right? It means that they are not sitting there and doing nothing. The moment that the detections are better, the EDR is better, their backups are getting better, they up-level their game too, right? Initially, it started by just single extortion encryption of the data. Later, they found out that, no, your data is more valuable. Now they encrypt and also leak the data and stole the data. And today, we are seeing that the other thing that they are doing is they run a DDoS attack on the same day that you get the ransom note. So they can cripple your environment externally, so your customers also suffer and put more pressure on you. And even they're not stopping there. They go harass your customers. They go and talk to the media. And lastly, what we are seeing, which is quite extraordinary, they are weaponizing our compliance. They are turning our regulation against us by filing SEC filing to SEC and provide them all the details the government needs, with all the details, so that you had a breach and what happened and not, right? And it means that they are sophisticated and they are evolving. And then lastly, the other thing that is super important is we know that the attacker is going to abuse what we trust. This means that every single enterprise third party that we are using, which we need to be aware of it and plan for it, right? Because these softwares, I'm talking about the file transfers and things like that, and they are deeply embedded in our systems. They have high privilege. They hold sensitive data. And the problem is, most of the time, they are not even handled by security folks, right? It's with the IT. And I'm talking about the admins, file transfers, help desks, and things like that. And every single CVE that you are here, it was part of a ransomware attack and things like that. And we talk about the attacker's playbook. We talk about every single point that I have here. To bring to this final point, how do we build a security program that not just aware of all these playbooks, but also is built and designed to dismantle that, take it apart, right? This brings me to the fact that we need a new model. We need a discipline. We need a new operational mindset. It requires something that we call it Risk Operations Center. And this is the path forward. You heard a lot about Risk Operations Center. And this is the engine that is going to provide you with the context, with the comprehensive visibility, threat intelligence, along with every single action and remediation that you require. I'm going to leave it at this. We had other slides, but I want to go and talk about TRU confirm. TRU confirm, as we saw with the F5 issue, right? The moment that you have a bunch of vulnerabilities that they are so damaging, they are super important, and they can let attackers inside your environment, you need to have a way that you can prove this vulnerability can be exploited or not. Basically, you need to answer this simple question. Is this vulnerability actually exploited in my production environment or not? Not all the questions and debates that you require that you often have with your colleagues. No, this is behind the firewall. No, we don't know who is the owner. We don't have an agent on this, and things like that. TRU confirm is a response to that. It provides you a way that you can have an attacker's perspective. We do not need any sort of agent or access, authentication details, anything. All we need is your IP address, and the way that it works is we are running a safe check. That this safe check is exactly the same method that an attacker used to get into your system. And obviously, this is safe, and it means that we don't harm your machine. I have an animation here and then a demo to show you. And the way that it works, this capability is inside ETM. And the way it works is your data, vulnerability data, come from VMDR or any other third party like Defender, Nessus. And there are only a handful of vulnerabilities that if fit TRU confirm. It might be maximum 3,000 vulnerability that if fit TRU confirm, which we can provide you with the proof that either we can exploit this vulnerability remotely in a safe manner or not. The moment that we shortlist those vulnerabilities, we will ask our scanner to send a payload, which is a safe payload. The payload is the content of a malicious code by attackers. Ours, we swap it with something that it doesn't harm your machine. We send that request to your target. One of the architectures that we have is through a callback service, which is an industry standard. And the way that it works is, in a step up, we send a request to this machine. We are telling that, can you do these particular couple of steps? And the method is the same as the one that the attacker uses, but the content is different. In this case, we send a request to the target. The target, if it's vulnerable, it reaches out to an external service belonging to TRU confirm, completely external, and we communicate with that scanner. And the way that it works is, when we initiate that request, we ask your server, it could be a SharePoint, it could be a Ivanti, anything, we ask them to send a specific response back. That specific response contains a UUID, or a unique identifier, that then our scanner can communicate with this service, TRU confirm service at the far right, and if we find a match, then we communicate back to ETM, and we will let you know that, yes, this vulnerability is already exploitable, and you already have what it needs to start prioritizing that, and we're going to help you with bringing your MTTR down. And by this, I have a short demo, maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute, that I'm going to show you how it works in ETM. We're getting ready to, perfect. As you can see, every single data points coming to ATM with the aggregation, we make sure that the data is correct and deduplicated. We go to our finding, and what we are seeing here is a list of vulnerabilities. We mentioned, we choose some of them. I think we go fast a little. Can we go back? Just 10 seconds. Let's rewatch it. As I mentioned, there are only a handful of vulnerabilities that it could have a TRU confirm, and this is one of them. For example, this particular one is a SharePoint vulnerability that has this capability with the ETM, with the TRU confirm. As we can see, there are all level of enrichment here, and we're gonna, in the next screen, we're gonna go and take a look at which one of these vulnerability we can run a TRU confirm scan. We will choose the one that we are able to run a TRU confirm, and once we launch a scan, we will see the result. And we have two examples here that it shows is already exploitable. And as you can see here on the screen, it was already the QVSS of 8.8. But since this is already TRU confirm, it means we already received the safe exploit that we run, and the callback is already initiated. And the beauty of what we do here is we are not hiding anything. We will provide you exact step-by-step walkthrough of how we exploit this vulnerability. We provide you with every single stage that it already happened, which you can provide. You can see here, and it show you the proof that is already exploitable. And we have other examples, for example, from Ivanti, similar vulnerability that I already showed you in the chart. And as you can see, we run a similar scan on this one, but we confirm that this is not exploitable. And we even bring down the QESS for this particular one. The same thing, we already provide you every single step, how we done it, with the details that you often ask. And you can see that it wasn't exploitable. That's it. Thank you so much for listening. And I'm here for the rest of the day if there's any other questions, anything. Thank you.